Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. A lot to talk about. 5 tournaments over the past 2 weekends, including a couple of big ones, really kind of defining what we expect the meta to look like for the rest of the season. We'll start in Australia at the Melbourne Regional, 55 players. Hendrickson winning that one. Overlord, Salvage, Bar in second. Kanata Marine in third. And Eight Pants, Rimuru Mirren Slime in fourth. Rest of top eight, another Hendrickson, Eight Pants Slime, and a pair of Quints, the 8 Salvage and 8 Standby lists, respectively. I think it was the 8 Standby list first top of the season, I want to say. Quinn's getting a shot in the arm here with a new set coming up early 2025. I don't think there's anything too crazy here. Nothing shocking. 55 players. We know that the concentration of good players on Australia is very high, so it makes sense that this top eight would be pretty much just what you would expect. 2 SDS, 2 Slimes, and a couple of Quints.
Yeah, worth noting that it's SDS first win of the season. Up to that point, we've seen them quite a bit in top eight, but SDS is finally able to go all the way and secure that top spot.
Yep, coming into this weekend, Slime had won 2 of 4, and it would end up winning 3 of the 5 over the last 2 weekends. Did not win in the Philippines, though. 74 players. That one was Pants Choice Spy Family, followed by Standby Salvage Kaguya, 8 Choice Oshinoko, and Mume Rushia. Little blast from the past in the Philippines with Hasumi Bang Dream list going top, as well as Chloe Marine, 8 Salvage Quints, and 1 Hendrickson to round out top 8. Philippines is always an odd regional when it comes to how it ends up. A lot of off meta stuff tends to do well, so not really shocking to see a kind of eclectic top 8, but it's fun to see other stuff get its chance to shine. Spy Family struggling into a lot of what is good right now, so I think a meta that maybe isn't as SDS and slime dependent is probably better for it long term. That might be why it did as well in this regional as opposed to a lot of other regionals where it hasn't really seen a lot of top tables. Kaguya is just Kaguya, like it's the classic salvage top end. That's just it's a good top end, still one of the better top ends. I think very consistent from 3-0 and in. Mume Rushi is fun. Like people have been theory crafting this for a minute. It just made sense with Mume being a level 1 and a level 3 to just put the Rushia in there as like an extra way to make life difficult for an opponent because Rushia is just good at doing what it does, and you only need one copy of the Mume down. So like Rushia's board winning tendencies tend to play well into that. So yeah, this is a fun topic. I like this a
Mhm.
lot, and I think that was it Slime finished ninth in
That
this one as well.
that was the rumor passed on that the ninth place was also X1, and that was Slime, and so that would have been the lone slime of potential top eight, but didn't quite make the list here in this case. So definitely slime's still prevalent there, but we do just see a lot more variety.
Another event that same weekend that had a lot of different results. The Portugal Regional, 64 players, 4 Slimes in top 8, including first and third. A couple of Rimuru Mirans outside of that top 4 as well. The winner was Rimuru Miran. Third place was Shizu Miran, but it wasn't the old Shizu level 1 that we know and love that is currently on a restriction list with the Miran. It is a different Shizu altogether that runs an event. It plays alongside an event that, when it goes to memory, this gets additional power. It didn't run the event.
No.
It just ran the Magro. It's literally just a top check 4 add one, which honestly, like on the power scale of level 1 combos, cigarettes and Magro are not super far apart. I'm kind of surprised to see that this didn't maybe see some play earlier. Like I imagine it's mostly because of the power level. Like it's small, it swings at 5
Yeah.
on combo turn, which is just not a lot of power. But it's interesting, and I think that the ability to move through that deck, like it's kind of playing a little bit of that classic slime compression game through the first deck, and then in second deck you do Mirren, try to compress even more. So it makes sense that this would do well. I think that this Shizu combo is pretty underrated. I get the power issue with it, but as far as just like deck speed and raw +1 on a good trigger, it's a fine combo.
Yeah. Well, the cigarettes, the reason why that was run more is because of the potential plus to memory. So then additional compression on top of that deck speed. You don't have that same kind of memory thing here with that, but you do have that deck speed on command kind of idea that you can control how much deck speed you're going through with the Maguro combo. So you're looking really trying to get that right to the right deck state, what you want it to be. Still playing at 8 pants, so you're very much still pushing climax every turn kind of idea. So yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely something worth looking at.
Elsewhere in top four in Portugal, 6 standby 2 bar, Guilty Gear, Jacko, Biken, Ram Lethal. Fourth place is fun. It's a JoJo's list, which congratulations to JoJo's on getting a solo regionals top for, I don't know, is it the first time? I don't know. If it has happened, I don't remember it. Um, it's running the 8 choice list with the DO and TW top end, which is pay 2, pitch 2 when you get Joker reverse, which is everything reversed or removed from your opponent's front row, and you just stick the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck into clock. So with this top end, your goal is to get your opponent into 3-3 and make sure that their board is cleared, and then proc 2 of these deals for pay 4, pitch 4. It's certainly doable, and I don't know, I like this. I think this is pretty good. Like guaranteed damage is always nice. I don't know, like it's got a really high ceiling and also a really high floor. Like if I'm sitting at 2-4 and I see double DO come down, I'm a little scared, right? Because I know that they don't need to get me to 3-7. Then we give it 4-0, whatever. They just need to get me to 3-3 because the top 4 cards of my deck are going right into my clock.
Yeah, no, it's definitely can be pretty scary if you're not prepared for it. So definitely seeing JoJo's makes its way into a top cut in Portugal is really, I think, really cool to see. So that's not something you see every day.
And rounding out top 8, the 2 other slimes, like we said, another Overlord, and then a Miko Sora standby bar Hololive list. Sora will not die. It's pretty good in its matchups. There are some matchups that just kind of shut it off. It's kind
Hmm.
of Sora's big issue right now
Yeah.
because of the timing of when the Next Soul procs, but it is on its own still very, very good against most things. It's just those couple of matchups that have kind of kept it out of top cut. And I think it's also dissuaded a lot of people from bringing it to these events as well.
Well, I think the timing rules is one of the big things that keep a lot of people from potentially bringing this too. Double loss on time being a factor there, bringing Nexel and a thing that slows down gameplay can be really, really risky in those kind of situations too.
Yeah, if you run into anyone who's not playing at speed, even if you know everything that you're supposed to be doing and you're playing at speed, it's just you're taking a couple extra turns and those turns can get you to time. The first big event in terms of size of the last 2 weeks was in Mexico City. Over 150 players, very diverse, top 16 cut. Milam Murin getting the job done. Brandon, you've been on this list. Milam salvage level 1 into Murin level 2. Blows up the back row, can disrupt things that really love to have that back row 0. Big examples, obviously, SDS. Spy Family wants to keep its brainstormer in the back row. There's a lot of stuff that is seriously hampered by the absence of that brainstormer. So, or whatever, back row 0 is left on the board, and Milan can just kind of blow up an opponent's back rows. So, pretty good stuff. Makes sense. Plays well into this meta. Chainsaw Man, just kind of around. We're into true believers territory when it comes to Chainsaw Man. Like, if you are still playing Chainsaw Man, you are probably a very good Chainsaw Man player because all of the regular people dropped it when it got banned. If you are still on this, you have maximized your value with this set, and you're probably scary, honestly. As much as I've talked a lot of mess about how I don't think Chainsaw Man's very good in this meta, and I still don't think it is, if you are still playing Chainsaw Man, like you are one of the few, and it means you've put hundreds of games in with this thing, and you probably know what to do. So it makes sense to see a Chainsaw Man top every now and then on someone who knows what they're doing with it. So
Well, I mean,
him and Oaki finishing second in Mexico City.
I think the advantage engine with that deck is just so powerful that that alone can carry you through matchups too. So I think that that's really important too.
Like the issue with Chainsaw Man post ban is its top end,
Yeah.
is that it kind of doesn't have one, right? Like Aki is so limited when it's only two copies. So I think that's the big thing you have to overcome with Chainsaw Man right now. It's not like the rest of the deck still functions very well. It does a lot what it used to do. It's like, what if you took SDS and instead of having this Hendrickson top end that's very good, you gave it, something that was a full couple steps down in terms of power level.
Well, and realistically, you just play into the mid game. You just play into the mid game a little heavier, play into the early play heal package, and try
Mhm.
to refund the stock that way, so you don't or your margins of play are a little bit better. I think that's what this deck went into as well. So
Freerin finishing third. We saw a lot of Freerin in Mexico City. We see one, two, three, four in top 16. Split between the trial deck top end and the events package, the strictly events package top end. The eight pants events, as you'll see it listed on Weiss Tea Time, is still like it's got the same triggers, eight pants triggers. On attack, it is either mill 12 of your opponent's deck, Mocha 2, essentially. Look up to two from your opponent's deck, choose one, put it into waiting room, and put one back on top. So
yeah.
effectively Mocha 2, or pitch 2, burn 3. So a little more variance in the booster top end than the trial deck top end, which is just burn 4. But the trial deck top end has the cantrip that allows you to dig for your CX.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that both of these get played. They're both quite good. I played into a lot of Freerin at this point, and it's solid. Like I think
Hmm.
that the list is good. The package is really consistent, and it has all the benefits of Danmachi while also not having the bad level 3 game. So it's not unexpected to see Freerin do well, and it also obviously it has like that anti tech against things like Overlord, right? So it's got a couple of pieces that can directly play nicely into a contemporary meta. So it makes sense that Freerin, despite maybe not being as, you know, powerful directly on paper
Hmm.
as something like an SDS or a Slime or even like the best Hololive lists, you're looking at something that can play into a lot of what is meta and hang with those things and get some wins, which is why it makes, up a quarter of top 16 in Mexico. Eight salvage quints in fourth place. Rest of top eight was, as we mentioned, another Freerin, this one on the trial deck top end. Hendrickson, eight standby Dow. Bringing that back, I guess.
It lives.
Eight standby Dow refuses to completely die. Eight pants spy family in top eight as well. Running up top 16. Two more Freerins. Another slime, another eight salvage quint, an eight choice Dow because Dal just has a bunch of good profiles still, and if you play well into the advantage engine, you can just win games because you have 50 good cards in your list. An Azure Lane list, a Shakugan no Shana, which, again, most people are playing focused on that 1/1 that denies auto damage, and an Ozki Polka 8 standby Hololive list. We've not seen a lot of 8 standby Hololive. I think a lot of people moved off of it after the restriction list hit, moved on to something else. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about the Philadelphia results. 198 players. I was supposed to be there, but we had some travel mishaps, and I was unable to be in Philly, and I really wish I could have been. 198 players, big event. Two slime players at the final table. One on eight pants Mirren, one on standby Mirren. But the interesting thing about the eight pants list this time, no combo, no Rimuru, no Shizu, no nothing. Four empty pants triggers with a Mirren playing the traditional slime package, not even worrying about combo. Brandon, you're a resident slime player. How do you do this?
Well, you play into the bonder, right? You play into the bonder that bonds into Murin. So you still have cards, you still have things that are happening realistically. You're just kind of coasting your way to level two. And then once you hit level two, you slam down your advantage and you proceed to win. Like, it's just about as simple as that.
Place was Hendrickson. Fourth place was Freerin. Rest of top eight, a pair of slimes. This one on Rimuru Murin and Standby Murin, an eight pants list from Freerun, and someone mastered the elements and got top eight. Brandon, you've spent a lot of time with this Ang list. Uh, the bar level one into the choice level three, where you're hoping to reveal four different colors off the top to get all of your things. It's a fun list. We identified it right from the word go as soon as Avatar dropped as a really fun list.
Hmm.
It hasn't been super competitively viable, very swingy, if you will. Like it, has its good days and bad days. This time it had a really good day. Makes top eight in Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like it is definitely set up to do well. It's definitely the shiniest Avatar list I've seen. That in mind, like it's also very much trying to just really play into that four color spread. The ratio numbers are exactly what I would want to see from that. So like this is perfect for like this yeah, this is like exactly what you want to see from this choice top end to try to get the ratios to master the elements. The big thing I really like about it is that even if you don't hit four, you're going to hit three almost guaranteed, especially when you're milling five. And that's the shuffle back and burn. Shuffle back burn wins games. Do you need the guaranteed damage of one to win games? Sometimes, but usually the shuffle back burn is enough to close a game.
Rounding out the rest of top 16, we had a pair of slimes, one on Rimuru, one on that Shizu pants combo that we talked about. So two of those getting tops over the past 2 weekends. We had a pair of Quince lists, one on 8 salvage, one on 8 choice. Bochi the Rock, salvage bar, a Hendrickson, an Overlord, and a Caligura. This was the list I wanted to take to Philly. This was going to be my Philadelphia list. And I still think this is super viable. Gur is the best card that's ever been printed in English. It's just cracked, and even if you only get two of it, with an Ame, you can go double Gura for five stock, which is still kind of unfair. Um, and still on its own, even with just two Gura and an Ame, is one of the best finisher boards in English. Maybe the best finishing combo still in English. It's still really, really good. So I'm happy to see that someone else is still on it. Like people really ran away from Gura when it got limited to two. And I don't know, man. Still think the Shark is the best way to play like a 1K1 Hololive list. If you're gonna play Hololive, you're either playing Hate Standby or I really think you should be on the Shark. It's still so good. And it's so consistent. You're running 30 plus soul triggers, your level one combo almost never whiffs. Like you just get stuff all the time. The Ame is a ridiculous amount of value. This list running four copies. I'm a huge fan of this list. Like I'm never gonna not be, I think, until they decide to finally restrict Gura entirely, but I don't think they will because no one's playing it. So we'll see what ends up happening. Right now, like based on these, like we talked about how these 2 weeks weekends were going to kind of define what we thought the meta was going to look like until another ban list. And the answer is a lot of slime.
Hmm.
Still a lot of SDS running around. Reasonably diverse meta though. Like Freerun is viable and playable. A lot of different ways you can play Hololive. Quince is still around, right? We saw a handful of Overlord lists. You can still do a lot of different things and be competitive in this meta, and I think that's obviously a really good sign for the meta.
Hmm.
But of course, Bushiroad, being who they are going to metal. Um, like Slime is gonna get hit, right?
Yeah.
Like it just based off of and trying to predict Bushiroad is insert simile for trying to predict something unpredictable. Like you don't. Sometimes they make very good decisions. Sometimes they make decisions that make no sense. Banning slime is. It's like hitting it again is kind of a wonky choice.
Nah, it's
Like they're gonna do it is I think the big thing. Like whether or not we think it's a good idea, they're going to do it, and they're probably gonna consider hitting SDS as well.
I think the timing is going to be the question of the day. Is when is that going to happen? Because like as much
Right.
as like we as much as there are different opinions as to whether or not what would get hit and what wouldn't, the question will be timing. And the question will be, is it going to be mid-season or is it going to be post-season? Are we going to go the full season with slime getting tops at every corner, or winning the event at every corner?
Yeah.
Like at this point, slime has what, over half?
Out of 9 events so far, Slime has won 5 of them. And usually you would see that and you would think, okay, that's cause to consider a ban. It is the best deck in the meta in terms of results. Like, I think that that's fair. But every meta is going to have a best deck. If you hit Slime, it's just going to be SDS. And then if you hit Slime and SDS, it's just going to be something else. Like, I don't know if Bushiroad understands that there has to be a best deck in the meta by rule. That's how
Yeah,
metas work.
yeah. I mean, I think we're really the point 'cause I think we've hit this. I think we talked about this enough. But like at the same time, I think that how we've seen a lot of slime, we've seen a lot of slime dominance, and I think we're expecting to see a lot more slime dominance until if when.
The inevitable.
Yeah,
Like I'm very confident it's going to happen. We don't have a announcement date or like a stream date or anything for them yet. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them hit this at either the next stream or sometime between now and Worlds. I almost certainly, if you're going to Worlds, I don't think you plan on taking the slime list. Like I just don't think it's going to survive that long.
yeah.
Not that it's going to matter because when we get to Worlds, it's going to be nothing but Nikkei. Nikkei is going to be the only thing that matters. Even if Slimes survives, like the meta is going to be one deck. Legitimately, we could be looking at a meta that is worse than the horrible, horrible Dow meta from a few years ago. Like, as one of the people who was like really freaking out about Dow before it dropped and never stopped freaking out about Dow until it was eventually hit, like
No, no, still freaking out about that.
a little bit.
It
No,
came back in Mexico City.
you
It's
can
coming back.
you can unban Dow now, please. Whatever. They shouldn't have printed it. Like going all the way back. Like if we're gonna dig up old bodies,
No,
they shouldn't have printed Dow in the meta that was. They should have waited until the rest of the meta was good enough to handle Dow.
we're not digging up old bodies. We're moving on.
No, that's fair. But no, but seriously, like Nikkei is going to be a problem, and whatever ban list, ban restriction they give us, it isn't going to matter because Worlds is going to be Nikkei and nothing else.
Well, do you think the new products are going to help solve the problem?
No, 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 no. The answer is no. Rurouni Kenshin has been announced for what is it? End of May.
May 30th. Yep.
Yeah, so cool. We you can play Rurouni Kenshin in Springfest and lose to Nikkei if you want.
Well, it's end of May. There's nothing at that point. It's after Worlds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can play it in
Oh,
Springfest.
oh, it's May. It's not even
It'll be
spring.
Summerfest, whatever they call it, trios. You'll
Maybe.
assuming there is a trio season, which I mean, if there's no trio season, just add it to the list of bad decisions that this company has made over the past couple of years. But it honestly won't matter, right? Even if they do have trios, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's going to be Nikkei in every team. Every single
Yeah,
team
yeah,
will have a
yeah.
Nikkei.
You just assume Nikkei's an A slot and move on.
Honestly, that would be the only possible way we can have a trios that is fun at all is just to put all the Nikkei players in the A slot so they have to play each other with their pervy nonsense, and we can play normal cards in the B slot and the C slot. Like who draws the short straw and has to be the Nikkei player, you know? Like in any case, whatever. We are getting Rurouni Kenshin in May, they announced. Cool. It's hard to be excited about any coming product. But we're still waiting on any other announcements from Bushiroad about anything about trios at all. Like they haven't said anything about trios. I'm starting to get a little nervous about it.
We're still pretty early for trios, realistically. We still have another half of the season to go yet. We don't
Yeah,
usually find out about even the normal events right till right before, so
that's
we got
true.
plenty of time.
That's true. And usually, like those events are starting in like March, right? So like it makes more sense to hear about those events, over the winter. Whereas this time we may not hear about those events until March or April because they wouldn't happen until probably June. So again, if they happen at all, who knows? Sorry for so much speculation. There's a lot that we don't know, other than Nikkei is going to destroy the format.
With that in mind, we are up to date on announced product, so that's partly why I expect to get a stream here soon.
Finally, one more thing to talk about the Christmas charity live stream, December 29th and 30th, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, December 29th. It's going to be awesome. 24 hours of card games, a whole bunch of guests. It's going to be a great time. We got some other really fun stuff planned. We are raising money for tuberculosis testing around the world for the Project Awesome 2025. This is our 4th year of doing this live stream. And over the last couple of years, we've raised a couple $1,000. to join the matching fund. So we get to be an even bigger part of what is going on with the Project for Awesome. Really excited about it. We fully expect to hit that matching fund once again. Thank you to everyone in advance for joining us and for your gifts, and even for just hanging out, sharing the link, all of those things. December 29th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the Christmas Charity live stream right here on this here YouTube channel. But that is all we've got. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to slow things down a little bit. We keep saying that we're going to do 2 videos a week, and then it doesn't happen because we're busy. Wintertime is busy for both of us. I've been traveling a lot the last few weeks as well. So things have been difficult and made it hard for us to get videos out with as much consistency as we've wanted to.
There is something coming out next week. We'll stay tuned to see what it is.
Okay, so we will have a video next week. We'll just have one video next week, and then we'll have the Christmas charity live stream. And then after that, we're going to take a couple weeks off, but we're going to repost stuff from the stream on our regular channel upload days.
Yep.
But we're going to talk about more during the stream, I think, about like the future schedule and all that, and we'll post about it and all that stuff. We'll make sure everyone's up to date. But in any case, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with something next week. Until then, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.